Hello, Catherine Heitner here. Well, the book's out. There's a much younger me. Thank you to anyone who's bought it. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't, then I thought I'd start to read a bit. And I'll begin with chapter 1. Fanny Lillian McCarthy, née Downey, was my grandma. She lived in a prefab on Princess Road, which is now the M56, into Manchester from the south. My grandfather had died in the bedroom there, so I avoided that part of the house, which meant never going to the bathroom. I have only one recollection of visiting him as a 5-year-old one summer with my elder sister. He was reclining in a deck chair by the garden shed, wearing suit trousers, a white collarless shirt, braces and a hat. We had been given salad, which in 1955 consisted of lettuce with slices of egg, cucumber, tomato and beetroot, served on this occasion with a tin of salmon between us, all of which I hated. Grandad coaxed me that if I ate it all up, like a good little girl, then I would get a sweet. I took this to mean a sweetie sweet, but it turned out to be a dessert of tinned peaches and condensed milk, which I hated even more. I bore a grudge. Granny had a predisposition to melancholia, and a budgie called Little Mickey Mackey. The only thing he ever said was, "Little Mickey Mackey, he's a beauty," in a fine imitation of Grandma's voice. His cage was never closed, and he sat happily, by choice, on his own doorstep. Fanny Lillian never ever visited our house. It seems that early on in the days after the marriage of Jack and Dot, she had visited on a Thursday afternoon at a set time. One fateful afternoon she arrived early, and seated at the kitchen had witnessed Jack's impersonation of her. He had effected a bow-legged swaying walk, stooped close to the ground, whilst cackling in a falsetto voice. To Jack's delight and Dot's chagrin, she waddled out, vowing never to return. She kept her word, she didn't. Timothy McCarthy was a lapsed Catholic from Dublin. Fanny Lillian Downey, a seamstress from Hume. They'd been a devoted couple. Timothy was a diabetic, and despite Fanny Lillian's meticulous weighing and monitoring of his food intake, he died shortly after retirement. Granny's next-door neighbour had a bag on her side, which was always talked about in the same exaggerated mimed whisper, usually reserved for talking about women's problems. I was both fascinated and horrified by this, and could never concentrate on anything she said, as I was busy imagining where it was, what it looked like, and whether or not it required emptying. Every Thursday I visited Granny's straight from school. Sometimes I was on the school special, bus number 22, and other times on my bike. The routine was to cut the grass front and back, clip both hedges, have a meal that was either home-boiled ham, home-boiled beetroot and crinkle-cut chips, or creamed mushrooms on toast. Granny still baked once a week, making scones to use up the sour milk. But that was on a Friday, unfortunately. I used to cut her hair for her, in a kind of 1920s flapper style at the front, and huge, chunky steps at the back. When the Meskie's ice cream van would come round, even in winter, and we would have a wafer each, then Fanny Lillian would trounce me at gin rummy. I knew all of Granny's stories by heart. She was one of 13 children, several of whom had been taken in the night by croup. She had had pneumonia as a child, and the doctor had called round just before mealtime to drain off the fluid in a crude and excruciating manner. And you know what? I completely lost my appetite. She had managed to fall into the dolly tub one wash day, still bore the scars. She used to say that people waited until she ventured out, if it perhaps only to collect her pension or to get in a bit of shopping, so that they could slip a note through the front door to say that they had called. And what a shame she'd been out. I thought this could very well have been the case. When Timothy McCarthy's retirement clock chimed 7:45, I would sign off from my granny's. I was in fact cycling home from Withington to Levenshulme when the news of President Kennedy's assassination broke. That's the end of chapter 1. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you again, I hope, soon. Thank you.